District 10, along with, I want to say, 8 others, groups, probably more after this, but have been asked to participate and help select the vendor that's going to run this particular project. As part of that, the city has put together a website of their own where the vendors, the two vendors' plans were posted for everybody to see, along with the explanation of what the Como Regional Park Transportation Implementation Plan was. We were able to attend an initial meeting myself and Sally, as part of the neighborhood, were able to attend the initial presentation by the two groups, along with the other 8 groups that will be having a vote in the vendor. That was done on December 7th. Then at the Neighborhood Relations Committee meeting on December 10th, I believe, we sat down and reviewed the plans, created additional questions for the two vendors, and asked for answers. The answers were now emailed back to me tonight. They are posted on the website ready for folks to view. So those responses are back now. And all of this, again, has been on the front of the website. The questions that were submitted, I can't remember the file name, but they're labeled questions, and it's right there. So you can see that. The responses, again, are there in PDF format so everybody can review them to get their answers to those questions. Let's see. So the next step for us is to, as part of the selection criteria, each group, each stakeholder, as they call them, gets to submit a sheet called the selection criteria rating sheet. Because it's kind of last minute, we have to have an answer or our votes back to the regional park or Michelle Fur by tomorrow evening at, I want to say, or I think it's Thursday. Am I right about that, Sally? Is it Thursday?
Yeah, I think
the 17th, yeah.
Actually 16th and 17th they make the decision.
Right, yeah. So that we have a ability to tally. What I want to do, let's back up. What I want to do is get everybody in District 10 the ability to rank these folks themselves, then submit that based on the criteria sheet to me. I will then take each one of the questions and average them out so that we get an average for District 10 residents, and submit one score sheet like we're allowed to represent District 10's wish on the vendor that's selected. I had to do a cutoff at some point, so what I said is, so I have time to tally everything. I would like to have a response by tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Email those to me. Rhonda said that if folks want to call in their vote, they can call Rhonda, she'll tally it, and somehow we'll coordinate getting those tallies to me, but again, it has to be by 6 o'clock so that I have time to tally it. I will post the results online so everybody knows who District 10 will be submitting the bid for, or the vote for the vendor. After the vendor is selected, that's when the next step begins, and I believe one of the questions asked was, how do you select the PAC, which is the Project Advisory Committee? That's the representatives from the stakeholders. There's going to be an individual representative helping or giving the voice of the stakeholders that will be determined once the vendor is selected. And I know that question was asked and is answered in the question, so you folks can see that there. But ultimately, District 10 has a place in this committee, or in this project. District 6, then there's various city departments. There is Como Friends representing the private institutions, raise funds. I can't remember who else. There's a couple of groups in here. In any case, take a look at the stuff, or take a look at the projects and the plans that they have submitted. You'll see that there are differences between the two and their takes. We believe the questions that were asked do kind of draw out even bigger differences between the two. And then the criteria sheet has been put on as a Word document, so folks can go in, like I said, change the number to the number that they want it to represent, and then submit it, save the document, and send it to me as an attachment so I can go ahead and tally the votes. And then the last thing that folks need to know is that the next step, as I understand it, for District 10, once a vendor is selected, is we need to figure out, and we'll start talking about this in the Neighborhood Relations Committee, but then the board I want also to think about is how we get a selection criteria process for folks to represent our interests. And number two, at some point they're gonna need to have some decision-making authority without necessarily board approval. We need to figure out how and what kind of authority that might be. So we want to start that discussion because these folks will be sitting at a committee and they need to make decisions. So that's the next step for us. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm curious if, has the scope of the study been
It's all going to be defined once the
Not-
vendor is selected.
Haven't we done this like every 5 years, the past function years?
The city awarded $70,000 to whichever vendor gets it, essentially, to do a comprehensive study of the whole thing to try and solve the parking problem. I believe the answer is yes, I think they have done that, but this is supposed to be more extensive, include everything. The Kimberly and Horn folks want to include not only the area, but also additional institutions, the state fair, all of it into their study. Again, there are differences between the two groups, and I'm not going to speak for the other, but this is supposed to be comprehensive, and it's supposed to find a solution and then analyze the costs to get the solutions and all of it. So.
One of the questions that came up from our ad hoc meeting last night was the perimeter. Is it just the park area, or how far out will it extend? Is that in
Each of them are different, and the scope, or, you know, that's all to be determined once the project advising or advisory committee is kind of selected. I mean, this is just the initial stage to get the vendor, and then from there, it gets formed.
Chris, can you talk about the differences between the two in that I think one of them was talking about collecting data, so in terms of the scope, you do see the proposal laying out a data collection period, and I couldn't remember if the city had said that they were recommending a data collection period prior to the summer, and
No,
I'd like to clarify it when
no,
data
because I understood the
collection
data collection. If you look at the city's website where it says kind of what the purpose of this is and the scope, this was just a preliminary phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and timeline. It was just something for these two vendors to go and base their scope on, okay? You'll note that in one of the vendors said, well, we can't do it in this time frame, we need to do it during June when it's the busiest time in the park. The other vendor, I mean, they went by what the city said, but I mean, with the PAC board,